Hi Mark, my name is Bella. My student number is S0441017. Celeste Headlee. 10 ways to have a better conversation. I'm a freshman at NCUE. Alright, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you have unfriended someone on Facebook because they say something offensive about politics or religion, childcare, food, laughter? And how many of you know at least one person that you avoid because you just don't want to talk to them? Laughter. You know, it used to be that in order to have a polite conversation, we just had to follow the advice of Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady. Stick to the weather and your health. But these days, with climate change and anti-vaccine, those subjects, laughter, are not safe either. So this world that we live in, this world in which every conversation has the potential to devolve into an argument, where our politicians can speak to one another and where even the most trivial of issues have someone fighting both passionately for it and against it. It is not normal. Pew Research did a study of 10,000 American adults, and they found that at this moment we are more polarized, we are more divided than we ever have been in history. We are less likely to comprehend, which means we are not listening to each other, and we make decisions about where to live, who to marry, and even who our friends are going to be, based on what we already believe. Again, that means we are not listening to each other. A conversation requires a balance between talking and listening, and somewhere along the way, we lost the balance. Now, part of that is due to the technology. The smartphones that you all either have in your hands or close enough that you could grab them really quickly. According to Pew Research, about a third of American teenagers send more than 100 texts a day, and many of them, almost most of them, are more likely to text their friends than they are to talk to them face to face. There is this great piece in the Atlantic. It was written by a high school teacher named Paul Barnwell, and he gave his kids a communication project. He wants to teach them how to speak on a specific subject without using notes, and he said this: I came to realize, laughter, I came to realize that conversational competence might be the single most overlooked skill we fail to teach. Kids spend hours each day engaging with ideas and each other through screens, but rarely do they have an opportunity to earn their interpersonal communication skills. It might sound like a funny question, but we have to ask ourselves, is there any 21st century skill more important than being able to sustain coherent, confident conversation? Now, I make my living talking to people, Nobel Prize winner, truck drivers, billionaires, kindergarten teachers, heads of states, plumbers. I talk to people that I like. I talk to people that I don't like. I talk to some people that I disagree with deeply on a personal level, but I still have a great conversation with them. So I did like to spend the next 10 minutes or so teaching you how to talk and how to listen. Many of you have already heard a lot of advice on this, thinking like look the person in the eye. Think of interesting topics to discuss in advance. Look, nod, and smile to show that you are paying attention. Repeat back what you just heard of, summarize it. So I want you to forget all of that. It's crap. Laughter. There's no reason to learn how to show you are paying attention if you are in fact paying attention. Laughter, applause. Now, I actually use the exact same skill as a professional interviewer that I do in regular life. So I'm going to teach you how to interview people, and that's actually going to help you learn how to be better conversationalist. Learn to have a conversation without wasting your time, without getting bored, and please God, without offending anybody. We have all had really great conversations. We have had them before. We know what it's like. The kind of conversation where you walk away feeling engaged and inspired, or where you feel like you are made a real connection, or you have been perfectly understood. There's no reason why the most of your interactions cannot be like that. So I have 10 basic rules. I'm going to talk you through all of them, but honestly, if you just choose one of them and master it, you will already enjoy better conversations. Number 1, don't multitask. And I don't mean just set down your cell phone or your tablet or your car keys or whatever it is in your hand. I mean, be present. Be in that moment. Don't think about your agreement you had with your boss. Don't think about what you are going to have for dinner. If you want to get out of the conversation, get out of the conversation, but don't be half in it and half out of it. Number 2, don't pontificate. If you want to state your opinion without any opportunity for response or argument or pushback or growth, write a blog. Laughter. Now, there's a really good reason why I don't allow pundits on my show, because they are really boring. If they are conversative, they are going to be hate Obama and food stamps and abortion. If they are liberal, they are going to hate big banks and oil corporations and Dick Canick. Totally predictable, and you don't want to be like that. You need to enter every conversation assuming that you have something to learn. The famed therapist M. Scott Peck said that true listening requires a set aside of oneself, and sometimes that means setting aside your personal opinion. He said that sensing this acceptance, the speaker will become less and less vulnerable and more likely to open up the inner recesses of his or her mind to the listener. Again, assume that you have something to learn. Bill 9. Everyone you will ever meet knows something that you don't. I put it this way, everybody is an expert in something. Number 3. Use open-ended questions. In this case, take a cue from journalists. Start your questions with who, what, when, where, why, or how. If you put in a complicated question, you are going to get a simple answer of. If you ask, were you terrified? You are going to respond to the most powerful word and in that sentence, which is terrified. And the answer is, yes, I was, or no, I wasn't. Are you angry? Yes, I was very angry. Let them describe it. They are the ones that know. Try asking them things like, what was that like? What did that feel? Because then they might have to stop for a moment and think about it. You are going to get a much more interesting response. Number 4, go with the flow. That means thoughts will come into your mind and you need to let them go out of your mind. We have heard interviews often in which a guest is talking for several minutes and then the host comes back in and asks a question which seems like it comes out of nowhere or it's already been answered. That means the host probably stopped listening 2 minutes ago because he thought of this really clever question. And he was just bound and determined to say that. And we do the exact same things. We are sitting there having conversation with someone, and then we remember that time that we met Hugh Jackman in a coffee shop. Laughter. And we stop listening. Stories and ideas are going to come to you. You need to let them come and let them go. Number 4. If you don't know, say that you don't know. Now, people on the radio, especially on NPR, are much more aware that they are going to on record. And so they are more careful about what they claim to be an expert in and that they claim to know for sure. Do that. Err on the side of caution. Talk should not be cheap. Number 6. Don't equate your experience with theirs. If they are talking about having lost a family members, don't start talking about the time you lost a family member. If they are talking about the trouble they are having at work, don't talk to them about how much you hate your job. It's not the same. It's never the same. All experiences are individual, and more importantly, it's not about you. You don't need to take the moment to prove how amazing you are and how much of yours suffered. Somebody asked Steve Hawking once what his IQ was, and he said, "I have no idea. People who brag about their IQs are losers." Laughter. Conversations are not the promotional opportunity. Number 7. Try not to repeat yourself. It is condensed and it is really boring, and we tend to do it a lot, especially in work conversation or in conversation with our kids. We have a point to make, so we just keep rephrasing it over and over. Don't do that. Number 8. Say it out of the weeds. Frankly, people do not care about the years, the names, the dates, all those details that you are struggling to come up with in your mind. They don't care. What they care about is you. They care about what you like, what you have in common. So forget the details. Leave them out. Number 9. It is not the last one, but it is the most important one. Listen. I cannot tell you how many really important people have said that listening is perhaps the number one most important skill that you could develop. Buddha says, I'm paraphrasing, if your mouth is open, you are not listening. And Calvin Coolidge said, no man ever listened his way out of a job. Laughter. Why do we not listen to each other? Number 1. We'd rather talk. Then I'm talking. I'm in control. I don't have to hear anything I'm not interested in. I'm the center of attention. I can bluster my own identity, but there's another person, another reason we get distracted. The average person talks about 225 words per minute, but we can listen at up to 500 words per minute. So I might filling in those other 275 words. And look, I know it takes effort and energy to actually pay attention to someone, but if you can't do that, you are not in a conversation. You are just two people shouting and barely related sentences in the same place. Laughter. You have to listen to one another. Stephen Covey said it very beautifully. He said, most of us don't listen with the intent to understand. We listen with the intent to reply. One more rule, number 10, and it is this one. Be brief. A good conversation is like a miniskirt. short enough to retain interest, but long enough to cover the subject. My sister. Laughter. Applause. All of this boils down to the same basic concept, and it is this one: be interested in other people. You know, I grew up with a very famous grandfather, and there was kind of a religion in my home. People would come over to talk to my grandparents, and after they would leave, my mother would come over to us, and she said, "Do you know who that was?" She was the runner-up to Miss America. He was the mayor of Sacramento. He won the Pulitzer Prize. He is a Russian ballet dancer. And I kind of grew up assuming everyone has some hidden amazing thing about them. And honestly, I think it's what makes me a better host. I keep my mouth shut as often as I possibly can. I keep my mind open, and I always prepare to be amazed. I'm never disappointed. You do the same thing. Go out, talk to people, listen to people, and most importantly, be prepared to be amazed. Thanks. Applause. It's all about my recording. Thank you.